Hello, Legend of the Samurai here with the Goal Grand V. This is a high pin count Japanese dimple lock, specifically the top-of-the-line model from Goal. This one was generously lent to me by Ken Nixon at Pyrolock, so thanks very much for that. I very much appreciate the opportunity to pick it. This is very similar to the Goal V18 that I picked in a previous video, just ever much more so in every way. Looking at the key, there are 30 cuts on the side and 8 on the top. Just 8 of them per side are actually used, but it makes determining the bidding very, very difficult just from looking at the key. And it also has some very aggressive warding, which is a bit hard to see at this angle, but it completely obscures the middle of the keyway, and the 3 pin rows, left, top, and right, sit above that, and there's very, very little room in there. And so with 24 pins installed, 19 spooled drivers, 12 spooled key pins, this is an extremely challenging lock to get open. So, attempt to do that now. I'll be using a custom snug-fitting tensioner in the bottom and 2 different custom picks. I'll talk about the shape and design of those once I get this open. So, three on the right, or on the left, 8 on the right. I drop into a falset because those are the low-cut standards. Now, 1, 2, 3 on the left is already set. 4, 5 is a 0 lift. 6, 7, and 8. Switch to a different pick for the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and feedback is hard up here, so I have to check these, make sure they're all set. 5 wasn't. That was 2. I think those are all set now. I'm going to check the left side, make sure I didn't drop anything. 3, 4, 5, 6 might have. Six had dropped back. All right, now I'm going to check left side. So 1, 2, 3. 4. 5. 7. 2. 4 wasn't set. doesn't all feel set, so something probably dropped back. Check the top again. There's 2 on the top, and we are open. So I am not going to fully spin this plug because the keyway is 3.4 millimeters wide. It is way wider than the drivers. They will fly out into the keyway, and I am not going to risk that. So we are open. If you were blocking the keyway, all of the chambers are offset, so you could spin it, but I'm not going to take that risk. So I will lock that back up. And now begin the process of taking it apart. And apologies in advance, this might take a little bit. All right. So one of the things they have done is they have put 2 ball bearing sprung detents to center the plug, which gives you that nice snappy action. But they have built them into the plug itself, and they're sprung outwards. So as soon as I pop this out, they are going to go wherever they wish to go. And hopefully they will not go too far. Alright, I caught one of them. And there's its spring. Come on. There's the second one. And its spring. Let's see if I can pull the key out. Okay. So we have 3 rows. Let's see if I can get these out of here in an orderly fashion. So starting with the left row. Ring off of here. A little bit of, oh no. Drill protection. pretty sure that's the correct order on those. But to prevent any mishaps, go carefully on the last row. And then in the back of the keyway, there's this big hardened blocking pin. And there we have our plug. So we have all 24 chambers, and these ones do have a second step of overmilling, which is effective in these locks. A lot of these, as you lift the pin, you get an initial small set, and then if you keep going, you get the spool to set over the top edge of that. And then we have number 1 and number 2 of those ball-bearing detent holes, which are sprung outward, and then we have the anti-drill holes in front there. And then here's a better view of that warding. So it is very, very obstructive. You don't have a lot of room in there. And the 2 picks that I were using, so this one is a very, very specific shape and width, primarily because this warding will actually hold on to a 1.5 millimeter pick shaft. It just gets stuck in there. And then if you set it up right, you have the picking tip, and if you shape it properly, it will match the warding on either side and allow you to pick to maximum lift without hitting the top pins. And then you have to have it thin enough that you can get in between the staggered pins because they don't quite touch. So it's a very specific geometry that you just keep filing back until it fits. And then to get that top row, you need something very thin that fits in that top corner. That's all the room that you have. Just right there, 1 millimeter wide pick is the widest thing you can get in there. So this is very much a toolmaker's challenge. Here is the color-coded bitting for where these pins were actually hitting. And so I have 2 complete zero lifts and several maximum lifts in the back, and then on top there's I have at least 3 bitting values here. I don't know if there are any further, but I have ranging from maximum lift to almost zero lift up there as well. All right, so that's the plug. And now I get to take out the drivers. All right, this is the right side. And I'll just take all of them out so I don't mix them up, and then I will show individual ones. Right, that's the front half. Last one. Oh, right, forgot about those. Similar to the V18, because the plug is not centered in the housing, there's a much different distance between this cover strip and the sides, so in order to use the same length drivers and springs, I have these brass spacers up in the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 8. Oh, there it is. And those just sit in the tops of the driver chambers. So very similar to the V18, the cover strips are crimped in, and then this faceplate is pushed on and crimped over them, covering the first chambers, so that makes it difficult to gut without modification. And then not a whole lot special in there, except for the 2 holes where the ball bearing detents seat. And there's some more anti-drill in front of this one set of chambers. And now for the pins. So we have 3 rows of 8 and several styles of both drivers and key pins. So first go close on these. And the most common drivers are these mushroom or spools. They have a nice sharp tip and they catch very strongly. They do not give a huge amount of feedback in terms of counter rotation. These are the standard key pins. which are lightly beveled at the top. And then you have your spooled key pins, which are tapered at the top and through the spool. So if you overset these, you will continue to get counter rotation. The zero lift ones are put under standard drivers, but there are also several other pins that get the standard drivers if they are relatively low cut, and those also tend to have the spooled key pins. So those are what I had to set first. Number 3 here, number 8 here, and then 3 up here actually sets itself as the pick brushes past it, because it's a very, very low lift. And then I think that's about it in terms of the key pins. But yeah, this was an ordeal to get open. I actually brought up, this is what a set of notes as I work through these tends to look like, where if I have to progressive pin it, I'll do 1 row at a time and figure out the binding order there, and then I'll do 2 rows at a time to make sure things isolate, or if they don't, where I need to go. And so this one, for all 3, it was set those 3 standards, work left, top, make sure things set, go to the right, and then do cleanup at the end, because things invariably drop back down. So this is a very, very challenging lock. They're not the easiest to find, but if you're interested in sort of... These are up there with the rest of the top-level high pin count locks. The Kaba Experts, the Clavis, Q18, and F22. These are definitely a challenge. So if you want some custom tool making and a lot of very close control over tension, the Goal Grand V is definitely one of the places to look. So thanks again to Ken Nixon for lending me this lock. I will get it back together and functional and have that back to you. And thank you for watching. Have a nice day.